I just want to talk to you a few moments about creating your brightest future. And I want to share something Ernest Holmes said. I think it's so powerful, relates. And Ernest Holmes said this: if someone else has done it, you can do it. Please repeat after me. It's possible. As I share part of my story, know this: it's your story. The fact that I was able to overcome cancer 3 times. At one point, the cancer spread the fluid in my brain. Doctors didn't think I was going to live. The fact that I not only relearned how to walk, at one point, I couldn't even read a paragraph. Now I'm an author of 10 books. At one point, couldn't even complete a sentence because my speech was slurred and the words, I couldn't focus on them because of the brain damage. Now I travel around speaking. Completing 7 marathons on 7 continents. It is proof and a testimony what's possible for you. Because the Christ within me is the Christ within you. And the miracles that I experience are the miracles that you experience every single day. And so my intention this morning is just to help you to remember how great, how powerful, and how much of a miracle manifestation machine you are. So we're going to do a little experiment, some fun. So if you would please, take your hands, rub them together really quickly, then hold them apart 6 inches and move them back and forth. Move them back and forth. Do you feel that energy? That's that energy, the life-giving energy. Now, what I'd like you to do is take your hands again. Now, on your hands you have these creases. See the creases underneath your hands? Line those up. If you line them up and you put them together, what you'll notice is one hand is longer than the other. Do you notice that? Okay, you ready to? Now, what we know in unity is what? Thoughts become reality. Thoughts become things. So take that shorter hand, the hand that's shorter, put it in front of you. Now, we're going to affirm 8 times. With possibility and belief, we're going to affirm this: grow longer. 8 times. Here we go. You ready? Grow longer, 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 grow longer. Put them back together. That's how powerful you are. Anything's possible. Now we're going to experience a miracle. You ready to experience a miracle? If you would, please take a big deep breath in. And breathe out. How big a check would you write for that? Do you realize every day that you wake up, every breath in, every breath out, that's a miracle. Every time your heart beats, that's a miracle. And every single day you experience all these countless miracles, and that's how powerful you are. And when I talk about creating your brightest future, you're already doing it. You're already living it. But I think sometimes we just forget how powerful we are. And sometimes perhaps we get caught up in some experiences and we wonder, why are we here? And I look at life kind of like Disneyland, because there's all these great adventures, all these great rides, and you choose which one you're going to ride. And sometimes we choose to ride one more times than other for whatever reason. Now I want to share part of my story, and once again, as I share this story, it's your story. Perhaps you haven't went through cancer. Perhaps you have. It doesn't matter. Because the cancer was just a lesson, a ride I experienced. Relate to yours. But it was EJ was sharing that powerful song. Wasn't that powerful? Give him another round of applause for that. But as he was sharing that, and I closed my eyes, it took me back. You see, tomorrow, 13 years ago, it was a day like this, but much colder. I was at a hospital, downtown Kansas City, Kansas. What had happened was I was in remission waiting for a donor for a bone marrow transplant, but I started having these massive headaches. It felt like an 18-wheeler was parked on top of my head. If you've ever had a really bad migraine, you know what that's like. And I knew something wasn't right. I was referred to this doctor, that doctor. Finally referred to Kansas University Medical Center, downtown Kansas City, Kansas. that cold, dreary Monday morning, and I'm sitting on the hospital bed waiting for the test results. I hear this knock, and into the room comes Dr. Doom. Now, this is the type of person that brightens the whole room as soon as they leave. I'm talking about someone, they're so negative, they walk into a dark room, they begin to develop. And we all have these Dr. Dooms in our life. And sometimes they're people. Sometimes they can be the media. And sometimes we're our own Dr. Doom. And these Dr. Dooms are these dream busters. These are the people, I call them energy vampires. I'll never forget that day I'm sitting at the bedside. And she walked over. It was a she. They come. And she pulled up one of those stainless steel stools. And in a monotone voice, the cancer's come back. And it's spread to the fluid in your brain. Now, because of my positive attitude, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I'm going to need a brain transplant. Now, just a note, I'm still looking for a donor. Without hesitation, you have a less than 10% chance of living to the age of 30. She got up and she walked out. In hindsight, I'm glad she left. But see, this is what Dr. Doom didn't realize and what you realize. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to creating your brightest future. And Paul wrote about it to the church of Corinth. So we do not fix our eyes on what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. You see what Dr. Doom didn't know, and I'm getting goosebumps. You and I had a divine appointment to be here at this moment. And the universe wanted to speak something through me for you to hear. The reason why you're here, because this is what I discovered. Out of our mess, out of your mess becomes your message. Out of your test comes your testimony. Now, one of my speaking mentors, Les Brown, said something I want to make sure you get so powerful. He said this: someone else's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. That's why when it comes to creating your brightest future, you've got to visualize your victory. And just remembering who you are and how powerful you are and how much you can manifest. And if you don't like something about your life, you can change it. Just like if you don't like to ride at Disneyland, you don't have to ride it again. Now, I want to make sure this goes into the consciousness. So not just to hear it, but also to put into practice. So when I say visualize if everybody would go victory, my whole highlight come to Santa Barbara. All right, you ready for this? Because here's what we know. Quantum physics, life is about what? Energy. So we're going to create energy. So you ready for this? Here we go. Visualize your victory. Doesn't that feel great? You wake up tomorrow morning, victory! You know, you're checking out at Walmart, victory! We don't do Walmart. Well, it's hypothetical. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll give you this. Okay, I wasn't going to, the laugh, yeah. So I believe part of spirituality is you got to laugh and smile. And I love Reverend Larry. I was in his office, and he had a picture of the laughing Jesus. And I love the laughing Jesus. And I shared this in an earlier service, but I'll share this with you all. There was a study in Good Housekeeping that showed the average four-year-old laughs or smiles up to 400 times a day. I mean, first service, we had all the kids up here, and what a blessing. I mean, they're just rays of sunshine, of just angels, because they're, I think part of it, because they're in the moment. I mean, how many of you have kids? How many ever seen a kid? But here's the opportunity for you and I. Here's the opportunity to remember. By the time they reach the age of 30, that number drops to 15. And one thing I can encourage you is just to smile more. So what happened was, because the cancer came back, spread the fluid in my brain, they put a special device in my head called an Ommaya reservoir. And that's because of, to administer the chemotherapy, because the blood-brain barrier. Well, it actually got infected, so now they had to take it out, so I have a little indentation in my head. So one of the things I offer after the service, back there at the table, for $5, you can feel it. I learned this from a great speaker, Keith Harold. He said this: don't tighten up, you've got to lighten up. And I love that, got to lighten up. So what happened was, around Valentine's Day 2004, this got infected, one of my kidneys began to fail, temperature rose over 104 degrees. I slipped in an unconscious state. 2 o'clock in the morning, guess who came to my room? Dr. Doom. Now, I was unconscious, no idea she was there, but I was told she walked over to the bedside and she assessed my condition and walked out to the nurse's station, and she told them, you need to call Matt's family and friends and tell them if they want to see him here again alive, get him as soon as possible. He's not going to make it through the night. But against all odds, and miraculously, I recovered. And I got to share this. One of the best things of that whole experience, that year, I got the most birthday cards ever. And when I came out of the unconscious state, I was sitting on the hospital bed. And I remember looking down. I had my shoes on, but my laces were untied, and looking at them, and I knew I was supposed to do something with my laces. I couldn't remember how or what. Left-hand corner of the room was a physical therapist. Right-hand corner of the room was my dad, and my dad, he walked over. And just like when I was 5, he reached down, took a hold of my laces, and tied my shoes. I was a 25-year-old man, and I couldn't tie my own shoes. And I think back, if only they would have been Velcro. This morning, when I tied my shoes, that was a victory. And what happened was, they helped me to stand up, and once again, there I was, and I was standing, I knew I was supposed to do something, I couldn't remember what it was, and they took my left arm, put it around the physical therapist, to my right arm, put it around my dad, took my left leg, picked it up, put it in front of my right, to my right leg, picked it up, put it in front of my left, one by one, as I had to relearn how to walk. And that day, I couldn't even go 5 yards. 25 years young, the prime of my life, the help of 2 other people. I was exhausted. And I remember the physical therapist, she went and she got a wheelchair. And she put me in that wheelchair, and she wheeled me back to my hospital room. And I got there, and they put me in that hospital bed, and part of me wanted to give up. Part of me wanted to quit. Why me? Why was this happening? And that's when I realized, and I got this vision in my head, and it might have been all the medication, I don't know. But I got this crazy idea of running a marathon. And what I did was, I visualized my victory. But here's what I want to share with you. I realized this, that wasn't going to happen the next day, the next month, or the next year. And I took that big victory, and took that, and I said to myself, I need to take action. And all I wanted to do is, I wanted to be able to take just one step by myself. Think about that. That was my miracle, to take one step. And after I took that first step, my miracle was to make it down the hospital hallway and back. And now, by taking that one step, before that first step, by setting that intention, I've completed 7 marathons on 7 continents. And the same is true for you. Whatever marathon you want to complete, it happens first. You set the intention and you take the step. Now, something came to me. I'm going to give you some super secret bonus stuff. And this is life-changing right here. Write this down, practice. This is all you need to know. Are you ready for this? Ready. And I'm sure you heard it before. In all things, give thanks. Did you hear that? In all things, give thanks. Now, move. How much time I got? Okay, I got a seminar coming up. Good. Oh, man, it's all these thoughts are just starting to come. Okay, real quickly. Okay, I'm off cue. I'm going to share this to you. Now, this is pretty awesome. The subconscious doesn't realize other people exist. Which means if you call someone an idiot, you're calling your subconscious thinks you're referring to you. Whew. Whew, I'm getting warmed up now. I'm all excited. So what that means is, so when you bless someone else, you're blessing yourself. Now also, in all things give thanks. Because if you want something, you're affirming you don't have it. Subconscious doesn't work that way. Subconscious, the universe, there's no tomorrow. It's always now. So if I'm saying, oh, I want to be healthy, that's in the future. You've got to affirm in the present. You say, I am so thankful I'm healthy, because the physical world, my friends, is just an illusion. Quantum physics. Is this solid? No. And the same is true for you and I. You see, the moment I was diagnosed with cancer, even though I relapsed, that was in the physical, that was an illusion. Because I knew, and this was my victory, that someday, somehow, somewhere, some good would come from someone. That was my victory. And once I affirmed that and gave thanks in that and saw cancer as a blessing, I was healed. This day was established. I hope that makes sense. Because that was just changes everything. And so focus not so much on what we want, but focus what we have. Because what you focus on expands. Now, the greatest finish line I crossed was Mother's Day 2004, when I walked out of the hospital cancer-free. And I've been in remission ever since. Wow. Victory! The first thing I did when the doctor came in that morning, it was Dr. Ganguly. We had fired Dr. Doom. And he said, Matt, you get to go home. And the first thing I did was I picked up the telephone and I called my mom. And I said, Mom, happy Mother's Day. I get to go home. And she said, Matt, that was the greatest Mother's Day gift ever. And today is the greatest day you ever have. And now is the greatest moment you ever have. And so I want to close this by celebrating what we have. Because when you celebrate life, you get more. Because T.R. Eckhart, I love this quote, T.R. Eckhart, where your attention goes, your energy flows, your results show. Because what you focus on is what you get. So we're going to give thanks. And here's the thing. Right now, all over America, they're getting ready for these big sporting events for football. Any football fans? Okay. People get so excited over football and sports. Yeah, I love sports or concert. But let me ask you this. How often do we get excited about our life? And I think it's okay to be excited about our life. So what we're going to do is we're going to celebrate how powerful, how awesome, and how much a miracle you are. Is that okay with you? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cross the finish line together. And all together, we're going to celebrate. We're going to go victory, victory, victory 3 times. We're going to make lots of noise and give at least 2 people either a big high five or a hug. Does this sound great or sound great? Okay, so if you're willing, if you're able, if you like to, you can stand. If not, you can be seated. But if you like to, you can stand. Put on those running shoes. We've gone 26.1 miles. We're coming down the final stretch. Here we go. We crossed the finish line all together. Victory! 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 Lots of noise! And give someone a big high five or a hug. And you are victorious. Victory! 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 Woo! Victory! 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 Victory's ours.
I want to know who your donor was. Your donor.
Oh, I have a picture of him out in my book.
Yeah?
He was from Washington. No, from Massachusetts.
Somebody you didn't even know?
Signed up. Powerful story, too. Please be seated. Please be seated. Awesome. Woo!